Welcome everybody. How you doing? It's a nice sunny day today as we wait for people to find us. A couple people coming in. Hi Emily. Nice to see you. How are you guys doing? Where are you anyway? I don't remember where everyone is. It is a happy Sunday. We're going to try something new today. Ian is going to be a moderator, so we're going to be learning as we go. I Spirit Incarnate One. Hello, how are you doing? So we got people up and coming in already.
Awesome.
Pew Die Grow Pew says hello. Hi. So Emily says she's in Wisconsin. That's what WI is Wisconsin. So, all right. I understand you guys had a massive heat wave a few days ago. We had ours last week on Tuesday. So, we're done with that. I understand. So, all right. So, what do we want to talk about today? Destiny Haynes says, hello, I'm so happy I'm able to catch you live. I haven't been able to the past couple of Sundays because I'm always at work. Oh, well, work is sometimes things we have to do. So I'm so happy you're home today or not at work, whatever. So welcome and ask whatever you want to know because, that's what we're here for. And last week we actually had a pretty vibrant discussion. It got rolling pretty quickly, so that was fun. I always enjoy that. So I brought my Mercury wand with me today since Mercury is retrograde. Always seems like a good idea to get assistance with communication during this time. Although this Mercury retrograde, we're getting a lot of stuff done, things that have been laying on the back burner waiting to be completed. So sometimes it's not that it interferes with what you're doing, it's just you take a pause and clean the past slates out and get them off your table kind of thing. Emily says, so hot, thankfully not humid today, went into a forest place with so many dragonflies like an hour ago, like a secret dragonfly garden. They came right up and posed for me. Awesome! I like dragonflies, and they eat lots of mosquitoes, so they're good to have around. Laura says, hi Siofra, Ian and company. Hi Laura.
Hello.
Moni Kill says, beautiful wand, thank you very much. It's eucalyptus and opal and orange crystals and a clear quartz crystal.
Cold weather in Portland, apparently.
Tanya says, yay, so glad I got you live today. Hope you are staying warm. It feels like winter again over here in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, this morning over here I went grocery shopping. And, it was sort of semi-cold outside. Then I went into the store, and it was colder in the store. I was like, I needed a coat in the store. I hate it when they get into this. Everybody must be air-conditioned all the time. But yes. Z Sun Dragon says, greetings all. Hi, Z Sun. And Spirit Incarnate One, I agree, beautiful wand, thank you. I just, wanted to get more planetary wands going. Destiny Haynes says, I actually am at work today, but it's raining here where I'm at on the Oregon coast, so it's been very slow. So you're also in Oregon. What part of the coast? North, south? I'm in the south end of Oregon.
It's actually sunny here. What?
Yeah, it is sunny here right now. Destiny says Oregon coast. Sorry, yeah, I figured that. G Little says, my first live, sending you love from Detroit. Well, welcome to your first live. And Trinity says, hi, Siofra, hi, chat. Hi, everybody. Jonathan says, hi, everyone. You're going to put your head in there, are you?
I'm going to do something real quick here for you.
So I can see concurrent viewers?
So you get more screen.
Oh, I see. Okay. That looks pretty good.
I can go over here and look at my own head.
That's right. Okay, so Ian wanted me to have more of a screen. So there you go. There's a picture of his head. So Trinity says, hi chat. Jonathan says, hi Jonathan, glad that you could join us today from South Africa. Casa says, hello from Tennessee. All right, we're getting all over the place. It's always good to see you guys. Casa says, oh no, Jillian, hi Siofra and Ian. Z-Sun, hey Ian, laugh out loud at your head. Sophia Souza, hello from Brazil. Oh, thank you for checking in with us from Brazil. Monique Hill says, Floridian here. It's been super hot and raining so much. Love it, though. Good. It's always good to love the weather where you're at. Laura Strobel says, hi, Tennessee, I'm here too. And Destiny says, northern, I'm in Seaside. Oh, the Oregon coast.
Cool.
So not too far from the Portland area up there. And we're down in Coos County is where we are.
Hi from Italy.
Oh, Cosmino, hi. Thank you for joining us. So we've got South Africa, Italy, Brazil, and a bunch of places in the U.S. and awesome. So what do we want to talk about today? I put up that video. The latest one was on the misinformation because it was bugging me with all that stuff out there. And I forgot to mention one of the things that I keep seeing is that I can't buy my first tarot deck because it's supposed to be gifted to me. And I don't know if everyone knows where that comes from, why people keep saying that, and how come they haven't figured out that things have changed. Because originally the tarot decks were handmade, and so your first deck was actually done for you and given to you by the group that you were in. Nowadays, that's not the case. So I don't think that that particular restriction applies anymore, although it's always fun if someone gives you a deck anyway. So that was just another little bitty thing there. Jonathan says your wand video and misinformation video were both great, really good. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed them. G. Little says, I'm interested in your thoughts on the spiritual meanings of cheetahs. Well, I mean, there's a lot of animals out there with the spiritual meanings of animals is kind of, I don't have that encyclopedia in my head at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'd check some.
Yeah, I would look that up and
native
see.
sites and tribal sites and things like that.
I mean, cheetahs are really super fast runners. They're like incredibly fast runners. So speed seems like it would be one of their properties for sure. They also seem to work with humans as hunters use them in Africa to hunt things for them. And so there's some kind of a human relationship, I think, that cheetahs would have. They're probably highly intelligent. They're different than the other cats. I think they're the only ones with partially retractable claws of the big cats. And they're certainly beautiful to look at. But it would depend on where you are. I mean, if it's a power animal or a spirit animal, it's going to depend upon what properties it might present. So, I mean, I have a black panther who's like a spirit animal, but I don't have the panther as my totem power animal kind of thing. There's a little differences between those two things. So, Ryder says, hello, good evening all. Hi, Ryder. Jonathan says, hey, Ryder. Tanya says, happy Pride, everyone. Yes, yay, and wonderful. I'm so glad. It should be all year, not just 1 month, but hey, I guess everyone has to have an opportunity to, be educated. Misha says, merry meet. Monique Hill says, happy Pride to you as well, Tanya. Ryder says, hope your weekend is going good, Siofra. I have had a wonderful day. I'm still suffering from the shingles. It's like I'm in my 5th week with this, and today my hand is just really bothering me, but it hasn't been as bad. My fingers are still swelling somewhat, and it's sort of achy, but it's no longer like in my back and my shoulder and my chest and all the way down my arms, so I'm sleeping. So this is a move in the right direction as far as that goes. And we got a bunch of plants since I had not been able to plant the plants I bought just before this hit. They all kind of died, so I had to go and buy more plants. So I bought bigger plants to make up for it, And we got them planted actually a couple days ago, the day I got them, so that was good. So I feel like I accomplished something and I'm getting back into the swing of things. So that's how I'm doing. Misha says, can you recommend a goddess to help with bodily healing health issues? Well, see, it depends on your pantheon. Asclepius is a god of healing in the Greek pantheon that I worked with for a while, and he's supposed to help you through dreams to find out what it is that you need to do to heal yourself. But it also depends on what kind of healing you're looking for. If it's emotional healing, there might be other deities that would be better for a specific kind of thing. So it's such a personal thing. Just do some research and check out some of the different descriptions of where they're at and what kinds of things that they do to figure out if one of them you have a resonant relationship energetically with a specific god or goddess. Because
Yeah, it should be pretty searchable as far as who has history with healing and that.
G Little says thank you with a big heart. Ryder says hi to Jonathan, and sleeping is good. It's healing. Yes, it's definitely necessary. Not sleeping is not fun. I was actually just becoming unconscious periodically throughout the day when I was going through this. I'd be sitting there watching a TV show, and all of a sudden I'm going like, yeah, and turn it off and just fall asleep for a couple hours and then wake up. So yeah, that was weird. So I'm not having that at least anymore, thank goodness. Jonathan says, I made my own deck. It works well. It's interesting to hear the origins of that. What do you think of the idea that different individual Rider-Waite decks have different personalities?
I'd agree.
Ian would agree that they have different personalities, different types of decks, or just different...
Well, if different versions of the Rider-Waite, if they vary a little bit, I don't know, if somebody owns them, then that's going to be charged up like
with
according
their
to
energy.
That person. Right, but I do know that I found that tarot decks, the response I get from them reflects what their creator believed. So, like, Lon Duquette has an Enochian deck. Lon Duquette has a Tarot of Ceremonial Magic is what he calls it. But he's strictly of the belief system that everything is within yourself. And so that particular deck won't tell me anything that I don't already know. That's I found it to be its limitation. I work best with Crowley's deck when I'm going to do tarot readings, which I don't do often. All
right. So Ryder made herself some dark chocolate covered strawberries. Num num. Sounds good. Sophia says, have you ever worked with angels? Well, yes, I have worked with angels. I have had encounters with them since I was little. I have 2 guardian angels that have been with me since I was born. I have an angel that shows up in my office for some of my clients and helps me with healing. And so, they're not like specific named angels. At least I don't know their names. But yeah, I've definitely worked with them. And then I'm a Reiki master, and Reiki works with a specific set of angels that gave the person who went up the mountain the Reiki symbols and agreed to provide the energy for people who are using that energy for healing. So I guess that would be a big yes for that, because they're also angels. Misha says, yes, each deck is different energies. Tanya says, my partner asked me how come I don't have a wand, and I really don't know. Is it something that calls to you one day? What are your main uses, inspirations for your wands? Well, I've discovered that the wand is probably the most versatile tool a witch can have, or any person who's working with magic, because you can tune each wand to the individual energies that you want to use with. So it took a long time before I got my first wand, a general wand, and not everyone gets into them.
But they can completely replace the Athame in a lot of instances.
Right. The first time I used my wand in an open group circle thing that another group was doing, and they were kind of shocked that I used my wand to call in the direction, and they had never thought of that before. So, yeah. And it depends on the wand. With my wands, some of them I can use for that, and some of them I can't. It depends on their specific attributes. Like I can't use my elemental wands for calling in all the directions and casting a circle, although I can use the Akashic wand for all of them. So it is technically an elemental wand, but it's kind of a different kind of element altogether. Ryder says, I agree, so many different types. Misha says, I think it's best to let the wand find you, perhaps, at least in my experience. Jonathan says, different decks of this exact same deck. I've heard this plenty of places, like one you buy might not work the same as another exact same deck you buy, if that makes sense.
I think if you buy them new, they should basically work pretty much the same if they're the same exact symbolism.
If they work differently, then it would seem it's probably something to do with the store that they're in and the other people that may have touched the deck.
Yeah, it may need a good banishing. In fact, I'd probably recommend that if you have a new deck to give it a good banishing anyway. If you've got one given to you by a experienced tarot reader, you can use that energy to help your own tarot reading, so I wouldn't banish it in that case.
Jonathan says an example, a classic Rider-Waite misinformation. I've only ever used the one I have. It could be that someone who believes that they're a sensitive determined that there was differences between a couple of decks and maybe
Use them, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's certain things that it's just hard to tell in absentia. You don't always know exactly what the circumstances were and how people draw the conclusions that they come up with. Just because they say something out loud doesn't mean that we're privy to the processes and the thoughts that they went through in order to get to there. And if we knew all of that, we might have a better idea what they meant by what they said, that kind of thing. So Trinity says, I've heard that it is best to let a god or goddess come to you before you work with them because you could become a slave to that energy. For some reason, that doesn't fully resonate with me. Can you touch on that, please? Well, that doesn't resonate with me either because we're not slave to the gods and the goddesses that we work with. We work with them. We don't work for them. We don't work under them. That's part of the whole point of being a witch.
You make that choice if you decide to make a pact with the being, but that's a whole nother deal.
That doesn't happen accidentally. And certainly, it's like a god or a goddess will decide whether they want to work with you or not, regardless of your desire to work with them. And it's like a mutual agreement that you come to. So I've had deities definitely come to me. There's no doubt that has happened to me. But I've also had deities that I've made a connection with because of research or stories or some inspiration that came, and it suddenly was there in my face, and then I could feel a connection coming back, and then would start working with them. So I think that there's a lot of that fear mongering going on out there to try and limit our ability to actually walk our path, which is what this is supposed to be about, making conscious choices and decisions and of what your path is like. And so if you follow that train of thought that you're not allowed to reach out to work with them or you're in danger of becoming a slave, that's going to limit your options completely and make you worried about working with any deity in the future, because then you wonder, does that mean did I do that and not know I did that? So for me, I think it's probably bullocks. Is that a word? Bullocks. So Spirit Carnate 1 says, Hi Siofra, what do you use to attach crystals to a wand or staff? I plan on making a staff, but I don't know what use to attach my crystals. Thank you. I use wire and glue, and sometimes a Dremel tool and glue, and that's pretty much what I use. I don't have anything else. Oh, that is a thing that says that he is the moderator.
It says that below when I typed it in.
Oh, I see that too. Now I see that. Spanner is a Brit term for wrench. Oh, I see. Okay. So Jonathan says, Hi Trinity, I sought out Aphrodite all by myself and it has been very rewarding so far. This misinformation concept is a deep hole. Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, there's a lot of that kind of stuff out there that it's almost like it's an attempt to throw us off of our track and keep us from fully embracing our abilities and our power.
You missed the one by Spirit Incarnate and ask what you use to attach crystals to a wand or staff.
I answered it.
Oh, you did? Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
Elsewhere in my brain.
That's right. That's fine. So Ryder says it's the first time I've seen a moderator on here. Yeah, we decided to try it out just to see. Oh, we got a whole bunch of new subscribers in like a 24-hour period where we gained like 1,500 subscribers in a day and a half, which was kind of a shock to us. I don't know how that happened. If YouTube stuck us somewhere and a whole bunch of people saw us and all of them subscribed, or whether it's a bunch of people who've been watching us for a while all decided on the same day to hit the subscribe button instead of just lurking. And so with the live show, sometimes that way I don't have to worry about what's going on here and figure out if we get one of those people that messes with us, then someone else can take care of it. So this is our first attempt at doing this. So it's a trial run. Amar says hi Amar. Trinity says, thank you, Jonathan. That makes a lot of sense. I just couldn't get with it that way. And Ryder says, 1,500. Whoa, awesome. I know. I'm just like, what? Jonathan says, Ryder, that's fun. Where it go? Yeah, that's fun because it looks like you're a moderator as well. She has whatever. Okay. Amar says, bollocks and spanner, 2 UK words I learned today. Well, I didn't know bollocks was a UK word because I'm not in the UK, so yay me. I'm picking up slang from somewhere else. Misha says, going back to my previous question, I was reading on the Tuatha De Danann, Dion Kachet is a god of health. I already have a strong connection with Bridget. Maybe this would be a good place to start. Well, yeah, I have a strong connection with Bridget as well, and she is also a healing goddess. And if you're already in that pantheon and you know something about the mythology, there's no reason not to explore that. Misha says, I love the word bollocks. G. Little says, I wish my grandparents were as tech savvy as the two of you. Yeah, well,
Well, we went along with the tech while it was being developed.
That's right. I'm not afraid to try new things. In fact, one of my friends was very impressed. She showed me how to use Zoom, like 5 minutes, and then I knew how to use it, and we were off. So, yeah, it all depends on your mindset. If you don't want to learn new things because you're tired of learning new things, then you're not going to learn new things.
Plus which I've been a service technician, so that's part of the whole tech thing.
Well, he is definitely our tech person. He takes all our computers and keeps them running. So Canary arrived. Hi, Canary. Ryder says, how are you doing, Canary, this Sunday? Misha says, true, thank you for reminding me. Amar, is anyone aware of any Celtic or European goddesses with red hair and snakes? Well, red hair, yes. Snakes, I'm not sure. I'd have to do some research on that one. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. Bridget, she has snakes.
She has snakes, does she?
Well, I just did that Bridget thing, and she has snakes in her hair.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and she has red hair. So I'm thinking Bridget is the answer to this question. So there.
Okay, I knew the red hair, but I didn't realize she had snakes.
Yes,
so, yeah,
Bridget.
Okay.
That would be her. Canary says to Ryder that I'm doing well, thanks, been on a shopping spree for summer today. Zizan Dragon is from Campbellton, New Brunswick. Constantine uses bullocks. Oh, that's true. He does as a character, and he is British in his character. Okay, gotcha. Jonathan says, oh no, Ryder, I think Ron just decided you aren't a moderator. On my man, put her back, please. We all vouch for Ryder. I don't think that Ryder is a moderator here. Ryder says, I don't like shopping unless I have lots of money. Laugh out loud. I was in a meadow today. Was lovely. Oh, outside is so nice, isn't it? Amar says, okay, thank you. More so with snakes covering half the face, blue eyes. Nope, I think she's got green eyes, and in the beaded thing that I did, the symbol that I found, she had a snake on either side, just one snake in her hair. And I don't know if that was just representative of her connection to snakes or not. And snakes in the past have been associated with goddess energy in a lot of different cultures. And that was the reason, of course, why Patrick said that he got rid of all the snakes in Ireland. It was sort of a euphemism for pagans and getting them out of the way of the church. Ryder says, Jonathan, that would be her. Her ex, Ron. Big thumbs up. Should we tell them that that's your other name? I think they figured it out by now. Canary says at Ryder, I love Meadows. I don't like shopping for long periods of time, but it's nice when I actually find nice stuff. All right. So, now that we've got all that out of the way, what else do we want to talk about? I'm waiting for a question.
Oh, somebody's got something they want to talk about.
Thank you so much, Siofra. Interesting, yes. I have all sort of weird, interesting facts in my head. Sometimes. Sometimes they manage to get out. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get stuck.
Well, by this time you've collected so much information in there, it gets buried under layers. It has to bubble up to the top, so sometimes it takes a while.
That's true, it does. Making all those synaptic connections can take some time. So I know that summer solstice is coming up, or winter solstice, depending on what part of the planet you're on. I guess South Africa and Brazil would be coming up on their winter solstice soon. You guys have any plans for anything that you're going to be doing? We're just going to be hanging out, I think, at this point, because we're still kind of just coming out of this pandemic. Hopefully we'll go out somewhere, like in the woods, and get on a hilltop and, say hi to a breeze. Or
Yeah, I want to do something.
Yeah, we want to do some stuff. Jaleesa says, hi, Siofra. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jaleesa. How you doing? Misha says, I am retouching on my pagan roots. After not practicing for a few years, I'm a little rusty, but at one point had gotten my power so high that I think I attracted an entity that came to drain me. Well, that's not good. You don't want to do that. So you need to shore up on your protection stuff if you're going to get back into this. So, casting circles and doing a personal shield, grounding, clearing, and that kind of stuff to keep yourself from getting attached by anything. Ryder says, not long finished watching a video entitled People on Drugs, but it really looked like some people were possessed. What do you think about possession? Well, I think it's a possibility that it can happen. I certainly had something try to possess me, so I know that there is a thing there. I'm going to have to stop this from scrolling for the moment so I don't lose my place. And I have seen earthbound spirits attach themselves to people in bars and stuff like that when they're drinking. It seems to get the defenses down, and then they can take things home. Certainly people that aren't aware of what's going on around them can get attachments and that sort of stuff. What exactly is going on, it's probably going to depend upon the actual situation, and whether they're demonic or not is something that's up for debate as far as that goes. Just a word that we use to describe something negative, I guess, and certainly something that's trying to get in your body and take it over would be presumed to be negative in its nature. I haven't really met someone who has had a full-on possession, though.
However, we have met somebody who let himself be possessed by a non-intelligent force.
Well, right, that was that
Vandermeer.
That was Vandermeer, not Frank. Frank does a lot of the other stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, if you think about it, trying to bring the god or the goddess into you is a form of possession in the sense that, but it's a willing possession. You're opening yourself up to sharing their energy and letting their energy come out.
Of course, you got the bimbes too.
Right. Yeah, I was definitely possessed by a goddess during a bimbe, and that wasn't voluntary either.
They
come
come
to think
right
of it.
down, and the Santeria and Buddha deities come right down and possess people.
Yeah, and that was weird, being actually possessed by Oya. That was something else, and unexpected. So I guess the short answer is yes. I believe it's real, but I'm sure it's different depending on all the different things that are going on.
Yeah.
Right. So Mary says, hi guys, I want to do something, but I don't know what yet. Okay. Misha says, I was staying at a friend's house, and in her shower, I looked down and saw what appeared to be vampire bite, like on your ankle or something. I guess it must have been. I actually got bit by a snake in a dream once and was pretty sure I had marks on my ankle for a while after that. Canary says, I had a dream with Anubis in it this week, very vivid. I don't know much about Anubis, but I had that name in my head when I woke up, and the picture of him was exactly who I was talking to. I did some research and was shocked about the kinds of things people say about him. Does anyone have any information about what he is like as a soul? Anubis is a guide for the dead in the underworld in Egyptian mythology, and I've met him. And I don't think that there's negatives. I mean, I think that anything negative about him is probably in the same vein as people misunderstanding the nature of what that is. Because I certainly never had anything negative happen when he was bringing me into the underworld or into my unconscious in the dream to show me things that I needed to know. So I can imagine he could be kind of intense to work with, but I don't think he would be dangerous. He just says, and the dogs were going nuts and climbing the walls even, so that was about the vampire bite. Canary says, I'm not even sure if it was real, to be honest. Well, sometimes those things are hard to tell. Laura said, since yesterday's video was about misinformation, please expound on the concept of perfect love and perfect trust. Okay, the idea of perfect love and perfect trust is if you're going to be working with someone magically, it's important that you can feel free to drop your shields, because you can't really work with someone in a coven with shields up. It doesn't work that way. And so the trust comes in that you're going to be vulnerable more than naked. I mean, you know, that kind of vulnerability goes way beyond physical. And you have any thoughts on that? It's like
Perfect love and perfect trust thing?
Yeah. How do you explain that? If you can't trust the people you're with, you shouldn't be with them. And the perfect love is acceptance, I think.
You know, and that's an ideal.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to have perfect love and perfect trust, but the idea is it should be more like a family where that you know other people won't betray you, that type of thing.
Yeah, either emotionally
yeah.
or physically or whatever. Misha says, yes, I need to work on shielding. Wow, interesting dream, Canary. Writer says it's odd because despite folks on drugs sometimes it feels different, like something is there or the absence of a life form. So G. Little says, I'm in need of a good support system, such as a housekeeper and a babysitter. What type of spell should I look into to manifest my goals? Well, let's see. An ad in the newspaper, and make it so that your house won't accept anybody negative in it.
That might be a good one for a candle magic, though. If you want to do some magic along the way, just charge up a candle with oil and give it a good rub and put your intention into it. If you're looking for somebody good.
Someone that's compatible.
Yeah.
I don't know how we could have a housekeeper because, you know, they would see our stuff and like turn around and run away. So we thought about the idea periodically. It's like, yeah, that wouldn't work, even if we could afford it. So Jonathan says, I put a tiger eye on the end of my staff because it felt right. It might be a bad idea. I haven't tried it yet. I'm worried it'll disperse energy instead of focusing it. Tiger eye in any of your wands? Actually, let's see. Well, I have tiger eye on my talking stick, and I'm thinking I wear tiger eye a lot for, you know, repelling negative energy or making sure it doesn't get to me. But I think that you could certainly use tiger eye to pull energy in or push energy out, depending on what you were working with.
Yeah, if you charge it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a natural tendency to reflect energy back, but if that's not what you're focusing on, that'll be minor compared to the energy you use to charge it up. So it won't have much of an effect if you don't want it to.
So Picking Nose Digging for Gold says, I've always used malachite in my wands. And Misha says, no, it was on my stomach. So the bite was not on your foot, it was on your stomach. Interesting. Any other things happened after that, besides the dogs? Writer says, Trinity, thank you, was kind of a random question. Delisa says, do you have any other experiences with the Orisha of Santeria? I am Cuban, and it's a big part of my heritage. I was invited to a bimbe for a priestess who lived in Oakland. She wrote a book, and it was her birthday. The bimbe was to celebrate her birthday, and she was dedicated to the love goddess. And I'd never been to one before, so it's my only actual experience with it. But a friend of mine was the one who invited me to go, and I was definitely overtaken or overshadowed by Oya when it was her time. It was like, from what I understood after this, during the conversations afterward, the men who are playing the drums and the beats and stuff like that, that there's specific sets of sounds for each of the Orishas, and so they knew which one had taken me based upon what they were playing at the time. And so it was bizarre in the case because, like, it was so vivid and so there, and they took me out after I dropped to the floor, and they caught me before I fell completely down and took me outside. And then one of the priests came over, and he kept like grabbing hold of my arm and moving my arm like this and pulling it and asking me my name. And I hear in my head, I can answer any question that you have, and this is the question you want me to answer. It's like, and then finally I was able to come back up to the surface and answer his question, and then I burst into tears and didn't go back in for a while because I wasn't sure if someone else might like me too. So, yeah. But I don't work with them in particular, so that was just sort of a random experience that I had, and certainly was real as far as that goes. It's like it gave me a definite feel for the fact that they have some real deities that they're working with.
I find that they were very easy for me to work with for some unknown reason, because I didn't actually join the religion of Santeria, but I made some small offerings and things to the Santeria deities, and I've always gotten a much more powerful and friendly result than I expected for not being in the religion.
So Trinity says, Siofra, I'm starting to feel my body vibrate while laying down and standing up. That's part of Kriyas? I know my involuntary swaying is, but what about the vibrations?
Probably.
I think so, undoubtedly. I get the vibrations sometimes too. It's always fun when I'm like, trying to go to sleep, and all of a sudden things go chunk. And I do like a big kaboom bounce thing.
Speaking of, you remember that.
Oh, God, yes. So
I used to have the big bounce. I'd be trying to go to sleep in the middle of the night, and something would hit me, and it would hit me like a bomb. The whole bed would bounce. My body would just like, boom. Which of course woke Nora up.
Yeah. So Canary says, at Misha, it was really interesting. And you're welcome, writer, says Trinity. Misha says, it appeared and disappeared into my skin and felt my energy draining from my body. After all these years, the closest thing to what I've experienced was reptilians. I don't think they were real. I didn't think they were real until now. Well, it sounds like you definitely had something happen to you, so your best bet is to shore up your defenses and work on yourself and make sure that something else can't do that to you in the future. It doesn't mean that there aren't spirits out there that can drain your energy for sure. I've seen that happen. G Little says, okay, thank you. Canary says, I do remember saying, you look terrifying. Why am I not frightened? in the dream. He found that a little amusing and said, "You're not afraid because you don't see me as a threat." Well, that would be a good thing. Jonathan says, "Thanks, Ree the Tiger Eye." Misha says, "I didn't see the entity neither, but the way I felt and the dogs were acting at my friend's house, I was calling all my protectors to me. Eventually it went away." Good. So I'm sorry that it was scary. It sounds like it was not a fun thing. Writer says that, Jonathan, it's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of her rival. Trinity says, "I love the Orisha." Jonathan says, "Writer just had the funniest image of Harry Potter Rocky crossover wizard training montages." That'd be pretty
good.
That'd be pretty good. So Picking Nose says, "What would be the easiest elemental to work with in your experience? It depends on your personality. Water is usually probably the easiest one for people to start out with, just because it's flowing and diffuse. But depending on what's going on, earth was difficult for me, and I had to work really hard on it. Fire is another one that was difficult for me. Air and water were easy. And for me, Akasha was easy, and that's not one that's usually easy for most people. So it's just going to depend on your own balance, imbalance, and stuff that you have in your personality and your abilities. So there's no one answer to that. So Jaleesa says, "So I received a vintage pendant with a double spiral on it for my birthday. It is designed after the markings in the Newgrange Monument. I feel like it is connected to the Fae. Any thoughts? I had a dream about the she and feel like there's a larger spirit force trying to speak to me through the pendant. Maybe my guides, I'm not sure." Well, certainly the spiral is very common symbolism throughout the world, not just in Ireland and for the Fae and stuff like that. The spiral path is one of the things that we call what we're doing, So I don't know. Maybe the person who used to have it worked with them, and that's what you're picking up on, or maybe they just like it and they think it'd be a good tool for you. It's just one of those things. So Mar says, "Speaking of the she, how is your she ambassador program project going?" Well, they're still hanging around. I haven't done much with them because of being ill and in pain, but every night when I go to bed now, I have the smell, the very strong scent of mostly the lavender one, who just seems to be there hanging around and making sure that I know that she's still there. So when you're sick, it's harder to make those kinds of connections, I think. It depends. Writer says, at Jaleesa, like a pretty birthday gift. Sounds like a pretty birthday gift. Jonathan says at Jaleesa, "I think you need to decide whether it's a good idea to use sage on it. Maybe stick to Palo Santo." Well, I don't know that.
Not familiar with Palo Santo.
Oh, that's the thing that everybody is using nowadays,
Yeah,
and then a
but
bunch of people don't think you should use it because they think it might be endangered, and there's a huge controversy online about the whole process, and it just goes on and on and on. So, sage helps to get rid of negative energy. It doesn't charge things up. It'll banish things, but Jaleesa says, "It's very pretty, but I definitely feel some mystical energy from it." So it could be from the previous owner. And certainly I've seen some antiques that have that kind of stuff in them.
Well, it could be connected if it's a symbol that's used on a monument and stuff that's been used in the past. It could be very well connecting with that past energy associated with it too.
Or it could be something that you're familiar with from a past life, and that makes a connection in your brain that way, And so you might be the connection with the symbolism that's charging it up. Anything is possible. Amar says, "Okay, I'm glad you are all better." Sounds like it's a beautiful energy that's around you. Yeah, I've had that kind of energy around me for a long time. I actually had it come for one of my clients, which had never happened before in my office a couple weeks, like a month and a half ago, where all of a sudden we smelled that extremely strong smell, but it was slightly different than the ones that I've smelled. And I got the sense that it was for my client that I was working on. She and I were talking about it. She smelled it too. It's always fascinating when you smell something like that, and then other people can smell it, but there's no source. Like my office never smelled like that before or since, and she wasn't wearing anything, and I wasn't wearing anything, and so yeah, it was interesting. Very interesting. So Picking Nose says, I had something steal my sage, completely gone, poof, into God knows where. No one in my house has moved it, and I've turned my house upside down to find it. Sounds like you get...
Know what that feels like, though.
Yeah, sounds like you need some new one. New sage.
I have stuff disappear all the time.
Yeah, while we're sitting still in one spot. I always love that. Jonathan says, I hear sage gets rid of all energy like bleach. Palo Santo only gets rid of negative stuff. But we're living in the age of misinformation, so who knows? I use them as I just described. Well, in my experience, sage is definitely the thing that gets rid of the negative energy, but it doesn't bring any positive energy into it. It just banishes the negative stuff. So it probably depends upon the associations that you have with it as to how it's going to work. I mean, we have some, we live in a place where there's a lot of Native American energy, and I've had a lot of interactions with different natives, and that's probably where I get my relationship to the sage. We've harvested some in the desert ourselves down around Mount Shasta a couple of times. I now grow it in my yard, and I use that. And a lot of times I add rosemary to it to make a sage and rosemary smudge stick or whatever for protection and banishing negative energy, and then use sweetgrass for bringing positive energy in. So it's, some of that stuff is associative when it comes to your personal experience and expectations for it, not just the properties of the thing itself. Canary says, I've lost my favorite crystal necklace, but I still have the chain in the box where I always keep it. I just thought when people complain about disappearing crystals that they must have just lost it. Yeah, well, I had an appearing crystal. I mean, I had one we hadn't seen for 8 years or whatever that suddenly appeared on a cabinet and above my sink one night when I was going to fill up my water bottle. And I was like, I wondered where this thing went. So not only...
it's worth, our house is somewhat disordered and cluttered, though.
Yeah, but I look at that counter every single night, and it wasn't there until one night it was, and then I took it and put it in my room with my other crystals, so now I know where it's at. But yeah. Canary says, I like dragon's blood for getting rid of negative energy and lavender for some reason. Tanya says, I just read about frankincense and burning it lifts energy to higher vibrations, antidepressant, which leaves no space for negative energies. Another good one to burn for cleansing. And I actually, in my research about making the ring of invisibility, found out that the frankincense is related to Helios, the original god of the sun in Greek mythology, one of the Titans, and his human love that was buried alive and died, and he turned into the frankincense tree, which is why I think that frankincense is often referred to as the tears of the sun. So I thought that was just sort of interesting when I ran across that.
Yeah, due to its solar aspects, it's also good for helping to bring in positive energy.
Yep. So, Ryder says, at Canary, Dragon's Blood resin is lovely. I love using it. Elisa says, I feel like lavender works for everything. Gnomes is here, says, right as I'm eating dinner. Hello, am I late? Yes, you are, but we're still here for a while. Greetings. Canary says, yep, that's my favorite. Jaleesa says, what are your thoughts on auras and how can you train yourself to see them better? Okay, so auras is something that I've been able to see better. Your best way to see an aura is in dim light against a solid background. So if you have like a solid colored wall and you don't have much light on, and in the evening, and you hold your hand up and you try to look past your hand because you want to not see the fingers, but you want to actually allow yourself to see the energy around your hand. And I've been practicing that, and now I've started to see the colors coming out as vivid as can be. It's just like amazing. I was pretty excited about that. So that would be a good way to practice it. And then you can see the aura energy field around living things. So trees have it. Sometimes before the pandemic, I would go to a restaurant and actually have a sit, waiting for food and look at people to see if I could see their auras and stuff like that. So it takes practice, and it's a softening the eyes technique to be able to see something that isn't solid. So you have to unfocus your eyes to be able to see it. So that's what I would do. Jonathan says, Siofra, that makes a lot of sense. Neither sage nor Palo Santo is indigenous to my area, so I pick and choose. You have a different connection to that culture. Yes. Cloverfield Lane says, have you ever had any encounters with demonic entities? No, except for the one that tried to take me over when I was a kid, and it left because I made it leave. Tanya says, wow, love that Tears of the Sun. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Marcus says, hi, you guys. I'm always late. Love from London. Well, greetings. You're joining Brazil, South Africa, and Italy as far as other continents are concerned. So welcome. Z-Sun says, sage is like kryptonite to me, but I tend to monitor spiritual motion and temper it as need be. And yes, sweetgrass to invite in the positivity after you clear all with the sage. Yeah, I love sweetgrass. That stuff is so nice. In a sweat lodge, it's much better if you have a sweat leader who's using sweetgrass on the stones instead of sage, because sage smoke can be very harsh to your eyes and difficult. The sweetgrass doesn't burn your eyes, so that's kind of nice.
Sweeter smell.
Yeah. Z-Sun says, keep your guides strapped on if you use sage. Writer says that Tanya is a lovely one. Oh, Gum Danmar is a lovely one to use to lift your spirits. It also brings light to dark soul, combats sadness, lifts depression. It's very delicate scent. It's lovely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nisha says, hello, Siofra, Ian, and everyone just popping in during my lunch break at work. Great conversation. Hi, Nisha. Z-Sun says, strapped in, not on, roll on the floor. Okay. Writer says, Nisha, hi, hope you are having a good day at work. Gnomes is here, says, can one be allergic to energies? Like it drains you, makes you nauseous, even makes you fall asleep? Yes.
Absolutely.
You can definitely be allergic to energies, or you can be unaccustomed to them, and they're bringing you into a new altered state too quickly for you to adapt. Someone's looking up Gum Danmar now, or Damar. Writer says, hi to the gentleman from London. Aquarian says, happy Sunday. Do you have any experience with honey, locust trees, or wood?
I don't know nothing about.
Well, I'd have to look up the associations for the locust trees. It's like everything else. It's like, I think we have some around our area, but I've not made a personal connection with them. So I really don't have much to offer on that. Canary says, tip, if you're trying to look into the spirit realm, take off your glasses. Yeah.
I agree, though.
That's good.
I wear
absolutely.
Glasses, and yes.
And that's the softening of the eyes and unfocusing your eyes. It's very difficult to unfocus your eyes if you're wearing glasses to see more clearly.
It's much harder to do with glasses on, yes.
It can be done, but it's a bit of a chore. Misha, whoops, a bit off topic, but I have a strong inkling to go to Ireland, at least for a little bit. I have a strong desire to go there. My immediate family think otherwise. Well, I think it would be a wonderful place to go and visit myself. Ryder tells Tanya that she burns it every full moon. Clover Lane says at Canary, yes, that usually works with me. Why are some of my crystals seem to be changing color? It seems to actually happen to some crystals. Sometimes it's because they're in the sun.
Yeah, sometimes
and the sun can bleach them out if they're that type of a crystal, and or if they're like prone to damage, water damage, and stuff like that. But sometimes it's the energy itself that seems to change their color, and sometimes they'll crack and break. And the theory for that is if they crack and break, then they've done all they can for you, and it's time to move on to a new crystal, which seems sort of reasonable as an assumption. Hopefully it doesn't mean that our minds are so powerful that we're breaking crystals right and left, but that would be kind of bad. Yes. Misha says, ask me my reasons for wanting to go. I can't tell them the spiritual reasons why I want to go. They wouldn't understand. Do you have any advice, or should I just go? that's a conundrum. I mean, if they're not going to understand your reasons for going, do they really need to understand your reasons for going? I mean, when it comes down to it, why do they need to know why you want to go? It's like,
Well,
I've seen all these great shows about Ireland, and it looks really cool, and I'd like to see it in person. I'm into ancient castles. Um, it's close to Scotland, and there's a Loch Ness monster, maybe. I mean, I want to be a tourist. I don't know.
depends on your family, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say, be creative if you can, or just tell them, I don't understand why I want to go. I just feel pulled to go there, so I'm going to go there and see why. Probably don't want to say, I think I have a past life that I'm exploring, if they don't understand why you're going, because that brings up another can of worms. So Judy Bradshaw says, I really appreciate your guidance and wisdom. I've recently gotten into paganism, spiritualism, etc. You've been so amazing and refreshing to learn from. Thank you for what you do. You're welcome. I'm glad that I've been of help. That's sort of the whole point of this. So Marcus says hi to Ryder. Seed Sun says yes, because Sage clears all, so keep your guides strapped in. Ah ha ha. Well, I mean, if your guides are that easy to get rid of, maybe you need new guides. I mean, if it only banishes negative stuff and your guides go poof whenever you use Sage, I'm thinking there's something to look at there. Maybe that's just me. So Cloverfield says, I always see things around my house when I take off my glasses, which is odd, I guess. Well, not actually so odd. That's probably means that you're seeing stuff on, in another dimension, as it were. So Spirit Incarnate says, hi, Siofra, do some crystals disappear? I had a clear quartz and it vanished. Sometimes things disappear, so I'm not sure what the answer to that question is. I mean, I had some keys disappear, but then they came back. So sometimes if things disappear, you can get them to come back by making an offering to the spirits and ask them to please send it back to you.
What I hate is when I drop something right on the floor and it's gone. And it's on a bare wood floor. Drop it and it's just gone.
It's like we have a little mini black hole that follows us around every so often, or maybe it's an interdimensional portal like Doctor Strange has, but we don't know where the string is, so we can't pull it back out. I don't know. So Cloverfield says, at Canary, it's odd. It's like things move around me or watch me as I'm sleeping, which is kind of creepy if you think of it. Well, yeah. It's good not to look when they're doing that kind of thing. Sometimes. I mean, usually they don't mean any harm, as far as it goes. But if you focus on it, you never know. Jonathan says, yes, Spirit, the Fae, borrow them. That's why they disappear. Amar says, at Clover Lane, I was just going to bring this up. You are definitely not alone. Misha says, my apologies. I get social anxiety, and talking to them is hard. It's like talking to a gang of bullies. Need to build up my inner courage, or just not tell them. Like, do they really need to know? I mean, is there some overriding reason why they have to know why you're going?
I have social anxiety issues too, so I
understand.
Yes.
So Spirit Incarnate says, I was meditating and I had 6 of my crystals in a circle around me, and the clear quartz disappeared when I was done. Interesting. So maybe it went into another dimension. Maybe you should try it again with the 5 crystals that you still have and see if it comes back. Or if another one disappears, it might be onto something. I don't know. Gnomes is here says, is there any reason for one to be onslaught with visions when before they were rare? Well, that would mean that your abilities are opening up and things are happening, or you need a warning and they're trying to make sure that you get it. I had a feeling in our neighborhood this morning, which I haven't had before, and I noticed it when I was driving, and I think I know what house it's coming from. So I don't think it's gonna affect me particularly, but it was sort of interesting that there was some kind of a odd feel to the air. So we'll see in the next couple of weeks if something happens or if I hear about it or not. So Canary says, at Cloverfield, I have entities that stay in my room with me, especially when I sleep. I think it's just because they are waiting to communicate through dreams, and also it's easier to help us heal out of our our conscious awareness. Well, for one thing, we're also easier to find when we're laying still and not moving. So partly that is also that whole notion that, I mean, they might be around you during the day, but you might not be aware of them because you're busy doing other things, driving, going to work, eating, watching TV, whatever, reading a book. And so it's like once you slow down and the lights are off and you're getting sleepy, you're more likely to actually see what's going on around you or sense them. Cloverfield says, at Omar, thank goodness I'm not the only one, but whatever is watching me never actually hurts me in any way. Yeah, set your boundaries, Amar says, and that's a good advice. Definitely set your boundaries. If you're uncomfortable, you can tell them that they need to back off and leave you alone. You can set a circle around you and say, no one can come into this space without an invitation, and then say, no one has an invitation, so that you can get a good night's sleep. I've had to do that, especially in hotels and stuff like that, which is really annoying to be a sensitive wandering around through hotels and stuff. Marcus says, my girlfriend disappeared. Hopefully not in front of your face. Cloverfield says at Canary, yeah, I see some things, but I usually don't say anything to startle them. Cloverfield retracted a message, and from a sage. You saged your girlfriend and she vanished. How bizarre. Z Sun Dragon says, I feel the need to take out sage guides, probably dart anyway. JK, and good answer, Siofra. Okay. Cloverland says, Cloverfield is laugh out loud. I also have social anxiety bad. I think that's not an uncommon thing, especially for people who are spiritual, because, you know, you don't want to, if you share stuff that's important to you, then you feel like you're opening yourself up to ridicule, and that makes all of us feel uncomfortable. So Spirit Incarnate says that they'll try that. Mike H. Magic says, did you ever hear Donald Trump refer to virus as a great spell that took over the world? No, I don't listen to him. I don't know what he said. Trinity says, I actually put a horseshoe up over my front door, and it's helped to protect my place and the energy of it a lot. That's not a bad idea. And of course, you put the horseshoe with the hole up so that your luck doesn't fall out, right? And there's other things like, you know, witches' bottles and witches' bells and crossed brooms and stones. So Canary says that Cloverfield, sometimes they're waiting for you to make the next move and talk to them to wait till you're ready. I personally like having my guides in my room at night. It helps me feel protected. That's when I was aware of my guardian angels. When I was a kid, every night I would feel them like on either side of me, trying to comfort me, since I was living in a very scary place. So Cloverfield says at Mike Magic, H Magic, I always thought something was weird about that. Loving the interaction and various topics today. Yes, we're all over the place, aren't we? We're having fun. Gnomes is here, says visions of an elderly woman sometimes dancing around a fire or churning butter or just staring at me. Sounds like a nice vision. An elder of some kind. Cloverfield says at Canary, oh yeah, I should try to talk to them. And Canary says at Cloverfield, if you don't want that positive or negative, you should absolutely put boundaries up and not feel guilty about it.
Agree with that.
Yeah. And you should, if you feel comfortable with it, that is. Gnomes is here, says at Cloverfield, they are like shadows because I have the same thing. Anxiety is the handmaiden of creativity, T.S. Eliot. And Amar says at Canary, great advice. And Amar, Canary says. Judy Bradshaw says, at Canary, one of my guides follows me constantly. Don't even need to tell her. My husband can see her, which makes me jealous, but I'm just glad she likes me. Yeah. It's always nice when you have someone who can see things that you know are there, even if you can't. Sort of confirmation of that kind of thing. So Cloverfield says, at Gnomes are here, yeah, but I have seen a couple today. Mary says, how can we meet our guides? Meditate.
Yep, pretty much.
Pretty much meditate. Meditate, do your work on yourself, get in touch with your intuition, Because they're probably already talking to you, you just don't know it yet. Cloverfield says, I had this experience with crows a couple of days ago. It was simply amazing. My crows come every day because I throw peanuts at them. And they like that. Canary says, at Judy, yes, you can get ones that get very protective and think that they can just be your best friends. Sometimes they seem to forget we're in different realms.
That's a good point, that they don't necessarily understand the physical realm or the way time works and things.
Time is a really hard concept for them. Yeah. So, Trinity says, you know, my grandmother, maternal, used to tell me to put a straw broom across the door so a haint can't come past it without first counting all the straws. They practice hoodoo. So that's the same theory as putting a salt circle around something or a circle of rice. That's that idea that spirits, for some reason, are compelled to count the number of, in this case, with the broom, straws, or the number of grains of sand, or the number of grains of salt, or the number of grains of rice, or
Of course, I think
wheat.
the more important thing there is that the person doing it believes in its ability for protection.
Right, because you're putting that energy into it, and it becomes a do not enter sign. Misha says, I feel the squirrels and they come daily. I feed the squirrels. I don't feel the squirrels. Okay. Good. We don't have any squirrels in our yard. We have cats and we have crows and we have Stellar's jays and all sorts of things, but I was thinking about squirrels just the other day, and I haven't noticed a squirrel trying to get into our bird feeder.
No, I haven't either.
Z Dragon says, ask to meet in dreams for your guides, and that's another place that they can contact you. Your spirit guides is in a dream.
Yeah, there's also, since we've been talking about Voodoo and Santeria and that kind of thing, they have a divination system where they can determine which one of the Santeria or Voodoo guides you are most in harmony with that would be your guide. They have a general guide that they use for Eliwar, Papa Legba.
Gnomes is here says, at Cloverfield, it's usually fine. They typically just watch you. Just be respectful if they get negative or seem off-putting. Tell them to knock it off. Otherwise, you should be fine. It's true. I mean, it's like, and part of it seems to be like training us to not get too freaked out about seeing that kind of stuff. I mean, little doses of it here and there, and you start to get used to it. And then it doesn't seem so strange the next time it happens. Misha says, I may be a little nuts, but that's okay. Well, if you know the difference between physical reality and non-physical reality, and the difference between dreams and waking life, then you're probably okay. Nimtribble? Okay. Is it possible to lucid dream by accident?
Oh, of course.
Well, it kind of sounds weird, I know. No, accident's probably the first time you ever lucid dream is going to be by accident. So yeah, definitely possible to lucid dream by accident. Writer says, mine used to get very frustrated when I went to work to make money. They had no concept of time and didn't understand why I needed to make money rather than hang out with them.
That sounds about right.
Yep, that definitely sounds like them. They're like, but we want to play now. Cloverfield says that gnomes are here. Yeah, they don't usually do anything to me, just watch and follow me, which is fine. And Squirrel feels, yes. I made a boo-boo. Canary says things are fags. That's a good one. They don't understand the concept of time at all. It's coming very soon. It's very different from my soon. I've had to leave the please stop telling me soon conversation. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I had that, when my clairvoyant mediumship ability just sort of burst on the scene, and I channeled my ex-husband's grandmother, and she told him that his father was going to die soon. I knew that soon is a relative term when it comes to spirits, but it was 3 months later, which I thought actually was pretty soon for a spirit to be saying that. So you never know for sure what they mean. Soon could be 50 years from now. Cloverfield says, I also started a coven with some close friends. Good. And good luck. Let's see what happens.
Covens can be hard.
Covens can be tricky. So Gnomes is here, says at Cloverfield they can be very creepy but usually harmless. I call them my shadow friends or just shadows. Amar says, have you ever worked with animals, pets that may have been under duress by antagonizing energy or spirits? I've done a couple of hauntings where dogs have been extremely upset about whatever the haunting is about. And generally speaking, the only way to help them in that situation is to get rid of the haunting. And so if I can get rid of the energy that's causing the activity, then the dog is able to calm down and not be distressed. But dogs have a tendency to get highly agitated when there's ghosts around, especially if they're a ghost of someone they don't know, or some kind of a negative, perceived negative being, so that they, feel like their house is being threatened by an invasion of some kind, and then they're protective. Jonathan says, Nimtrubble, not weird at all. It happens when you realize you are dreaming while you are dreaming. I've only ever done it by accident. Yeah, I've done it a couple times on purpose, but mostly it's been by accident. Cloverfield says that gnomes are here. I usually call them. Canary says at Ryder, when something happens, they're like, we told you so. I'm like, that was 3 years ago. Well, if you can use the information to avoid it, then they can't say, I told you so, right? So Gnomes is here, says, try talking to them. They are rather shy and playful, but can be friendly if you take a cautious but kind approach. Everybody has to make up their own mind as to whether or not they feel ready to do that kind of thing. So, Ryder says at Canary, yep, I've had that one too. Judy says, at Canary, yeah, I bet time is weird for her since she said she's almost 2 million years old. She is my friend, not gonna lie, and I prefer her to people. One day I'll like people. Well, maybe not. If people ever become human, you might. It seems like most people aren't. So, become a human being and maybe we'll find each other. Cloverfield says, as witches, is it common for people to be afraid of you?
Yes.
Yeah. And especially if they ask for your help, and then you give it to them and it works. Yeah. And then after that, never speak to you again. It's like, I don't know how many times that's happened to me. It's quite annoying. But it can also be in your favor, like, when I had to get rid of some people that were being crazy and trying to mug us, and they were more afraid of me than I was of them, and so they ran away. Let's see. Last time I had a lucid dream, I got violent and was mortified when I woke up. Oh, you got violent. Interesting. Oh, I see. I thought I was crazy, waking up very confused. Mary says, do you read tarot or use a pendulum? I read tarot, started reading tarot in like 1966 probably, in high school, and I've read tarot for many, many years, but haven't really used it much in probably the last 10 or 15 years, because I don't need to use it to find out what's going to happen. My other abilities have kicked in, and so it doesn't seem like necessary. I can't use a pendulum because I can make it do anything I want, so I don't trust it. So my brain, the way it works, is like once I've decided I can't trust something, I don't see the point of trying to continue to force it to work. And again, same kind of reason, my intuition is highly evolved at this point, and so, any information I need, the universe finds lots of different ways to send me the info, or warnings or what have you. And sometimes I don't figure out exactly why I do or don't do something until much later. It's like someone wants me to go to their house and I just don't do it. And then later I find out that there's a situation happening that they weren't aware that was coming, that had to get resolved before I could go, that kind of thing. So definitely a big believer in using them, though, for self-development. And I definitely used them a lot in the past. So Cloverfield says that gnomes are here. Laugh out loud, but I'll try, but I'm kind of cautious and shy, so I'll see. And Canary says, at Judy, there are nightmares. When I first started, it was like, oh wow, this is happening like this week, and get excited. But now I just roll my eyes when they say soon. Aha. Suzanne Casey says, hi, Siofra, Ian, and everyone. Just got in listening. Hi,
Quite
Suzanne.
a line of emojis there.
That's quite a line with locks and unlocks and hearts and crowns and all sorts of things. Canary at Ryder, there is a nightmare. They're a nightmare. The worst thing is when you feel their excitement. Cloverfield said, I also predicted my grandpa's death. It was like I knew it was going to happen. I think that's one's not an uncommon one for family, when you're connected to family. So Ryder says, I've said to them, if you can find a way to pay my rent, gas, electric, and water, I will hang out with you as much as you want. I would much rather hang out with you any day or night rather than work. Tell them to make you win the lottery.
I don't know. We've been trying that and it hasn't worked.
Well, we keep trying from time to time anyway. Just what the hey, you never know. Which would be awesome. Then we just spend time online and talking to you guys. Gnomes is here, says at Cloverfield, just be careful and be respectful, but do not let them intimidate you. Don't show fear, just in case. They're usually pretty shy, but then I dealt with them since a young age. Yeah, and when you have dealt with them from the time that you were little, you develop different tactics in how to deal with them. Let's see. I think I missed a line or two. You guys are chatting away, and I'm catching up. Okay. So, Cloverfield says, gnomes are here. Will do. To be honest, I kind of prefer them over humans. Yeah, me too. I will do that just to get one up on them. Trinity says, I had a lucid dream, and I was flying through what I only know how to describe as the cosmos. Yeah, I've done that a couple times. I used to get rides on comets throughout the solar system. I don't know why I thought that was a fun thing to do, but I'd be wandering around checking out a planet here and there and looking at the spirit beings that lived there and stuff like that and hanging out, and then I'd see a comet go by and just go sit on it and fly through the cosmos. Judy Bradshaw says, I'm pretty sure my first lucid dream was accidental. I received a crane necklace, but I woke before I could pay, so my husband said, you better give an offering, so I did that before something got my butt. Okay then. Honey 12, do you know anything about bibliomacy? It's interesting to me, but not many people talk about it or seem to use it. Well, that's the idea that you can use actually any book, not just the Bible, as a divination system by asking it a question, opening it up, putting your finger on a spot, and then reading the line that's there. So, depends on how you want to use stuff. You can...
Yeah, there was one of these guys, I don't know who it was, one of the famous, I believe, Western magicians had a particular magic ring, and he would use wherever that ring fell as his line or whatever.
I guess it's bibliomancy, not bibliomacy.
Right.
But hey, that's fine. I can mispronounce words all I want.
I never had any results that I knew were genuine.
Or even interesting sometimes. Sometimes you look at them and you go like, yeah, right.
I have had an awful lot of opening things up to exactly the chapter and stuff that I want when I first opened the book, but I always assumed that was just more because I read it through in that area and it was more open.
Canary says, I don't understand why I have had many spiritual people I helped thinking I was going to make friends with same, interested, and they just ghost me and never talk to me again. I was like, did I do something to offend this person in a past life and they remembered it or what? No, same thing happens to me. I think the thing is that a lot of times, you have a superficial connection with people in the beginning because they're looking for your kind of help, right? And those of us who are sensitive and open perceive that as more of a connection than we think, and the other person isn't really in that spot. I mean, we've had any number of pagans that we've met here in the community that seem to be fine on the surface when we first got together, and then later, after seeing some of the crap that they stuck on their Facebook feed, realized that these are not the kind of people we want to hang out with. So,
or then they turn into Christians afterwards.
But yeah, the thing is that the other thing too is, I'd have lost my train of thought there. as to what I was going to say about that, but
Sorry.
that's okay. Okay, if you're a real sensitive and an open person, people that are closed often feel a weird energy coming off of us because our energy has a tendency to want to open other people. I mean, it's like a external pressure of being genuine, and it brings up all their own stuff. In order to clear them out, in order for them to actually be able to meet us on our own level, they have to clear out all their own crap. And most people don't want to do that. So that could be part of it. It's like you're experiencing that, that energy is coming out there and going back and forth, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh wow, we don't even know why we don't want to talk to this person anymore, but they make us feel weird, we don't like it. And Ian and I have that kind of a reaction with a lot of people because we've cleared out pretty much most, if not all, of our own larvae, the things that hang on your energy field and stuff. And when you get near someone who has a lot of larvae, their larvae get very upset. They don't like it. They start to feel threatened and everything else. And so they are, they often just sort of run the other way. And they'll find reasons in their own head to make it okay for them to do that. Like there's something about you they don't like, or they're busy, or what have you. But in reality, that's often what's going on, in my perception at least. Amar says pendulums can be tricky because they're easy to influence, and I do find intuition a better indicator, but they are a good complement and tool to develop the inner self. Pendulums. I like that face. Cloverfield said the canary exactly. I lost that one. All right, there we go. I'll use some lotto money. Well, you guys are chatting up and I lost my place. Jonathan says, I used bibliomancy as a kid before I knew it was a thing. Mixed results for me. You don't have to use a Bible. At Canary, sounds like you've got some stories. Honey says, Jonathan, I've considered just using some of my all-time favorite books as a start. There's nothing wrong with that. Canary says, at Cloverfield, I know because yours worked, you must be getting your power from the darker realms. Ha ha. Ryder says, I've asked him to help me win the lottery. They say money does not matter. Yeah, right. It doesn't matter to them. And I should not be so materialistic. No concept of time or money. It would help so much. Yes, I would love that too. It's like they don't understand. We live in a physical realm that has certain rules that we have to follow. That's the way it works. So at Canary, they are so afraid when I'm usually so docile and calm, but they approach me. And yeah, we all use some lotto money. May you explain the dark realms at Canary. Have you had any new fairy encounters? Well, not except for the wonderful smelling lavender fairy that hangs out in my room because I've been sick and in pain with the shingles. So not anything specific. Stitchomancy. There's all kinds of amancies out there. Just getting here. What did I miss? The entire show? We're pretty much done. I'm sorry. Canary says, imagine using the Bible for divination and you get the verse, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, or scryers, seers, and divination shan't enter the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, we probably don't need to go there. Honey says, how would you go about renewing faith in magic or other aspects of the occult, like trusting that things will work? Practice and see when it starts to work, you get affirmation for that. I mean, I don't have any questions about whether it works or not at this point because I've seen it work so many times and in so many different ways that there's no room for doubt. So that's how you do it. You don't have to have faith in this. This isn't the thing. Faith is not a requirement to practice magic or to be a witch because we're dealing with the real world, with nature. And you don't have to believe in a tree to know that a tree exists or believe in a rock to pick it up and hold it or throw it. So it's about developing those interactions with the world and the universe in a different level than the average person, really, when it comes down to it. We just have a different language that we're using in order to get in slightly deeper into what's going on. Misha says, a lot of people ghost me or don't contact me anymore after being around me. Yep, I get that. Aubrey says, at Aubrey a lot. Canary says at Cloverfield, in my experience, the darker realms are a manifestation of the darkness created by the entities that live there. In my opinion, the entities create the place, not the place was created for the entities. Ryder says, at Canary, did you know it was King James that altered the Bible and added that in? Yes, there's a lot of things that were added in. That'd be a whole different thing in and of itself. Trinity's...
Yeah, too bad I didn't see that before I...
Well, that's okay. At Gnomes are here. Have you been told your energy is alluring? Trinity says, that explains why there is someone that hates me. She has admitted to someone that she knows I have never done anything to her or said anything about her, but she just does not like me. Well, yeah, some people just don't want to grow. It's like, stay away. I'm not ready to actually, learn anything from you, so, bugger off. She said she couldn't put her finger on it. And much of it was changed due to the patriarchal culture of the times. Yes. Amar says, many people, vibe-wise, feel bothered or they seem agitated. I also feel like they have a filter or veil around them energetically, a lot of anger or abrasiveness, even if they aren't acting that way. Well, yeah, that's because we can sense that energy that's there and, the different things that are hanging around them, thought forms. I see thought forms sometimes, and I'm glad I don't see them all the time because some of them are pretty awful. And vile and whatnot. And so they have stuff. Gnomes is here at Cloverfield. Yes, it's like a lighthouse in an underground cave. That's how I've been described. My roommate is like a brick wall surrounded by salt. I love those descriptions. That seems perfect. Aubrey says, I'm new to the lives. I've been catching up on all your posted videos. Well, welcome to the channel, and so happy that you managed to get here, even if it's only for a few minutes. We do this Sundays at 2 o'clock Pacific time. And if you have your thing set on the YouTube channel for alerts, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. And you can join us earlier. Misha says, I'm new here too. Ari, welcome. Yes, it's always nice to have new people. Jonathan says, thanks, Siofra. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Clover Lane says, at Gnomes are here. I thought I was the only person who had someone say that to me. No, that's one of the nice things about this is we find out that we're not alone, that we have similar reactions to other people, and it's just, just the way people are, it seems. Good point on how realms are created. I can see that being the case too. Okay, everybody's having a conversation. Today it did not, but thank you very much. Oh, with the notification. Yes, it's been another fantastic Sunday. Thank you, Siofra, Ian, and everyone. Until we meet up again, take care. Much love. Thank you, Ron. So they noticed that we're getting up to an hour and a half. So true. The first time I met her, as soon as I walked in the room, she immediately got up and almost ran out of the room. Oh, yeah. I love that kind of stuff. It just drives you crazy. All right. So everybody's getting ready to go. Yay. And so thank you guys. It's been a fun conversation. And we'll see what we end up with the video for next week. Probably something on summer solstice since that's coming up. But I'm glad I covered the stuff on misinformation because we need to be alert. We need to be thinkers and stuff like that so that we at least have some idea what we're doing. If not, just guessing all the time. Boy, I made my wand really hot. The handle of it is just like on fire here. Apparently eucalyptus absorbs my body heat. All right, guys. So thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Blessed be to everybody. And feel free, of course, to send in your questions, etc. And we'll talk to you again.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.